Welcome back to Kaulig Nation, your one-stop shop for all things Kaulig racing, Digger Nation, Kaulig Nation, SVG Nation, Everybody Nation. This is like my vacation week. So if you've wondered where the content has gone, we didn't get a chance to record more last week. So, and honestly, we probably didn't intend to do anything until after Richmond at this point. But some news came out, and it's not the driver lineup kind of news either. We have a couple of things to touch on this video, but first off, Ryan, how you doing, man?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Yeah, definitely was a little bit shocked yesterday. I knew we kind of had some news potentially coming. I figured it would be a driver lineup announcement, but instead we got some crew chief announcements and sponsorship announcements. So it's pretty interesting times for Kaulig this week.
Yeah, there's some news which some people might consider to be good. I understand those that don't consider it to be good and where they're coming from, but at the end of the day, you need funding. And then there's really bad news, and I wish we were talking about better things. But also, by the way, people, take a moment, click the like button, leave a comment, subscribe, turn notifications to all to keep up to date with all your content. No, I don't suggest people do content creation while driving like I am, but I have no hands on the device at the moment, so we're good. There's two pieces of news. Kaulig Racing has a new partner in Strive Funds, which seems to be quite the controversial signing on social media. And I understand why, but at the end of the day, you need funding. They are going to be the primary sponsor of AJ Allmendinger's Cup car at Talladega. And you might be going, AJ Allmendinger's not running a Cup car at Talladega. And you would have been right until yesterday. You can actually vote on which paint scheme to use, the Strive Colors one or an American themed one. I voted for the Strive Colors one. And it turns out Strive is going to serve as an associate sponsor the rest of 2024. No mention of 2025, which I find a little bit intriguing, because it might be a show it deal, as you said to me yesterday, Ryan, but it also might mean they're waiting for a driver announcement, and Strive might be one of the partners with said driver. Your thoughts on the sponsorship deal for a team that sorely needs funding?
Yeah, when I first saw the announcement yesterday, I was caught by surprise, but also very excited. This is the thing we've been talking about for weeks and months and years, truly at this point, that Kaulig has kind of lacked, and that's funding. And over the last year or so, we've seen other organizations bring in investors, right? Joe Gibbs Racing added an investor, Trackhouse just added an investor. And then all of a sudden, we see this Stride company, investments come in, and they're partnering with us for Talladega. And we all know AJ doesn't like super speedways, so the fact that they're pulling him into a super speedway race tells me that they were very interested in doing this race, and they wanted AJ. So that was really exciting. But obviously, there's been a little bit of blowback with Stride in particular because of, I guess, maybe their core beliefs. In their anti-DEI hiring, and there's some definite political undertones that have kind of caused a little bit of a wave within the community of not just NASCAR, but also our fellow Kaulig fans. And I do find it interesting that this comes off the heels of kind of what we've been hearing about NASCAR with the new charter agreement, not allowing foreign investors like the Saudis to come in and invest in NASCAR for political reasons. So I just found it interesting that this particular company, who, as you mentioned, has ruffled some feathers with kind of their undertones, just coming in and supporting Kaulig. But at the end of the day, it is a company that seems to have a lot of money, a lot of capital. And if Kaulig can show that they can bring some positive investment back to them, I could 100% see them investing even further into Kaulig going into the 2025 season. And they are an Ohio-based company, so that obviously helps, I think, sustain that connection with Kaulig Racing. So I'm personally very excited about it. I like the the colors as well. I like their mint green. That's what I voted for as well. So by all means, go to their website, Stride, and vote for the colors. I liked the mint green personally. So on the sponsorship front, I am very excited to see that they've come on board, that they've decided to be an associate sponsor for the remaining 16 or so races. That's a decent investment, even as an associate sponsor. So I'm very happy about that.
You know, is it stride with a D or strive with a V as in Victor? I was under the thought that it's strive with a V, but it might be with a D. I should know because I looked at the damn paint schemes long enough yesterday. So I really do think that when we look at it, it's a positive sign for Kaulig Racing to pull in more sponsorship. I don't want to get into the political stuff because everybody, and their aunt and their uncle and their neighbor's hamster is going to have an opinion on what the right and wrong thing to do is when it comes with type of sponsors. But unless you're opening up your wallet to sponsor this team, it might be best to just stay quiet on that front because guess what? NASCAR sponsorship is expensive and this team needs it. Whether you're an Omendinger fan, whether you're a Kaulig fan, this team, an SVG fan even, this team needs support. This team needs backing and it's a positive one. And I still think there's a chance for 2025 as well. But without any driver lineup announcements, it's hard to even discuss 2025 at this point. So, positive sign anyway with outside sponsorship coming in. And I do think the fact that it's an Ohio based company helps, as Ryan pointed out. I hope it's the green mint scheme that they get. I think that one looks better. And yeah, I'm sure AJ is sitting there going, oh, of all races to add to my schedule, you add Talladega. Terrific. Because remember, this was not one of the races AJ was scheduled for the remainder of this year. He was scheduled to have this weekend off because SVG will be running that race in the 16 alongside Daniel Hemrick. Now, there'll be three of them. This gives them some strategy play at Talladega if they want to hang at the back. It also gives SVG a chance to learn drafting a bit more. And not many better guys to learn it from than AJ. He might hate the style of racing. Guess what? Very, very successful at it and has a Talladega win under his belt. So let's shift gears, though. I'm sure SVG fans are waiting for some SVG talk, and this affects him, and sadly not in a positive way. Ryan, give us the Bruce news.
Yeah, it's quite surprising. About 30 minutes or an hour after we got the news release that Strive, you're right, it was a V, Strive is coming on board. We find that Bruce Schlicker, his SVG's Xfinity crew chief, has left the Kaulig organization unexpectedly, and this definitely puts not only SVG, but I would say the entire Kaulig organization behind the eight ball now, not only for the last handful of regular season races, but going into the playoffs. Reading the press release, I saw something very unique that says, for Bruce's privacy, Kaulig has no additional comment. Read into that what you will, but to see that there is a separation very suddenly, middle of the season, it was certainly unexpected. It's not, surprising to see team members move on from one organization to the other, but it's almost always in the off season unless something unexpected occurs. So to find that this release happened, not only coming off of a top 5 finish at Indianapolis, but after having a 3-week break for the Xfinity cars, that's definitely a very jarring change for SVG for his continued growth in this season on ovals. Losing that common voice that he had started to build a rapport with is definitely going to make it very challenging for him to kind of pick up those pieces and continue what seemed to be a very positive trajectory towards the playoffs this season. So, I don't have a very good spin on this one. I certainly hope there's no underlying really negative thing that occurred. But at this point, that's just pure speculation. I can only hope the best for Bruce and that, SVG and his new crew chief can get on the same page quickly.
Yeah, we have some very diehard, passionate SVG fans that follow the channel. We really appreciate the support from all of them. I know they don't always like our takes, but the one thing we try to do is be as honest and forthright as we can about our opinions. We both really like SVG, despite what some of you might think. But please don't spin this in any form of positive. This is not a positive for SVG. It is not a positive for Kaulig Racing. When you look at it, Kaulig has 5 full-time crew chiefs across 2 series and 7 altogether. And there's no positive spin on this. In terms of what they had in their organization, Bruce was the best. You look at his results, he was the best. AJ's Xfinity Championship, regular season championship, Bruce. He might have been with Bruce both years. I honestly can't remember. Bruce was
He
definitely
was.
the
He was with Bruce
was
for
he?
both.
So Bruce 2 regular season championships, and then Bruce went and did Chandler last year. I'm pretty sure, and was very successful with. Was Bruce with Chandler or Daniel? I think it was Chandler.
I honestly don't recall. I'm sorry. I'd have to look that up.
We're gonna have to look up and post that in the comments. I think Bruce was with Chandler, and then Bruce was with SVG this year. SVG has overachieved in a sense for his first year. A lot of people feel, maybe not the SVG fans who have followed him in his V8 Supercar career, but you lose a talent like Bruce, and it affects your whole organization. If SVG has a dip in performance the next few weeks, I will personally not hold SVG responsible. I don't expect there to be a dip if I don't know the schedule. So I've been sort of out of it for the last couple of weeks because we had recorded ahead of time on our 3 previous videos. So like this is our first time doing content in a little bit, and I don't know the schedule. I don't know if there's repeat tracks in the next 2 to 4 weeks. If there is, at least I'll have some notes there. If there isn't, but um, anyways, I I just it sucks. There's just no positive spin on this, man. To lose a talent like that, you're not replacing a talent like that mid-season either. And frankly, you're probably not replacing a talent like that this off season. That's going to take some time, more than likely. And I know I'm not the most patient guy while waiting for colleague announcements, but this seems rather out of the blue. Um, and it's like it wasn't he's stepping away from the team. It wasn't he's taking a leave of absence. So I do feel like you can rule out, family issue, stepping away from the team. He'll be back when he can. It's a parting of ways. I've seen some people linking it. Well, maybe it's the Strive thing. I can't say it is or it isn't because I know people go way out of hand when talking politics and make things way too personal. Um, I have no idea. What I do know is it's a loss for the team, and it's really unfortunate that SVG is this deep into the season and to have a change of this magnitude. Now, I don't know the fellow's first name, but I believe his last name's Walter, who has been Josh Williams' crew chief. That car has greatly underachieved this year, is going to go and be with SVG. Couple of points to make here, man. Actually, I'll let you make them. You mentioned it. If certain things happen with Walter as the crew chief, what might that show?
Yeah, it's Kevin Walter is the gentleman's name, taking over for SVG, coming over from Josh Williams. And just quickly, I looked at the next 3 races for the Xfinity Series. They go to Michigan next, which is the first time there. Then they go to Daytona, then to Darlington. So we are coming up on tracks that we're for a second time. So those will be interesting results, and I definitely expect there to be a dip in performance. I would like to give them maybe a month to kind of get adjusted to the new crew chief, and then we'll see kind of where the chips fall as we kind of get into the playoffs. But so Kevin Walters coming over from Josh Williams, and I think everybody that pays attention to Kaulig can recognize that Josh has underperformed this year. And now expectations might have been too high for Josh, but there's no question that the combination of Kevin Walter and Josh Williams has not produced quality results. Josh is currently 18th in the Xfinity Series point standings, which for Xfinity, that is simply unacceptable for a full-time organization of colleagues standing to be that low. So what is that going to show us is if SVG can continue to perform well, kind of get over that hump and show that he's continuing to improve and run consistently top 10, top 15, that's going to show that Josh Williams' performance is more driver-based. Or if we start seeing a bigger dip in SVG down towards 15th, 20th place finishes more consistently or even further back, that maybe Kevin Walter isn't a very good option at the crew chief position. So either way, we definitely are going to get some clarity, I would say, for a couple drivers. We'll see how Josh performs with Eddie Perdue, who's taking over for him. And we'll see how Shane Van Gisbergen can adapt to a very sudden change of leadership on his team, getting ready for a playoff push.
Yeah, Eddie's been very good in the with the 13 Cup car this year. So, keeping in mind they've been on road courses with Allmendigger behind the seat, so hard to be bad in that regard. I will say this: we expect driver announcements this week. It's Thursday today, unless something drops in the next few hours. I think that's going to likely go into next week, maybe even the week after. My guess is the Bruce stuff sets everything back a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this episode. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications to all to keep up to date with all of our content. Richmond is this weekend. Ty Dillon, Daniel Hemrick behind the wheel of the Kaulig car, option tires. I got to tell you, other than looking at my phone, I probably won't be paying too much attention. This track has just been eaten alive by the new car, sadly, in a bad way. Ryan, thanks for doing this, man.
Yep, absolutely. Glad to do it. And yeah, this weekend, we'll see. I'm optimistic, but you're right. This is going to be a tough weekend for, I think, the Kaulig Cup organization. So we'll have a lot more to talk about going into next week, and hopefully we'll have some more clarity when it comes to the driver announcements as well.
Absolutely. Until next time, let's keep a smile on that face.